The rain hammered against the windows of the Whitmore estate, a sound that matched the rhythm of Thomas's grief. In the grand living room, the scent of his wife Margaret's favorite lilies still lingered. It had been 3 days since the heart attack. 3 days since the vibrant woman who had pulled him from his own darkness was gone. The mahogany clock ticked loudly in the silence. Thomas stared at his hands, not thinking of the house or the money, but of the way Margaret's eyes crinkled when she smiled. The front door opened without a knock. The sharp sound of heels on marble cut through the quiet. His stepdaughters, Vanessa and Rebecca, stood in the doorway. They were not grieving daughters, but a united front. Their faces were masks of focus, not sorrow. "Thomas," Vanessa began, her voice smooth and professional. "We need to talk, it's about the estate." The word hit him like a blow. "Your mother isn't even in the ground yet." "Which is why we need clarity," Rebecca said coldly. She placed a sleek leather folio on the coffee table with a definitive thud. "To avoid unpleasantness." She extracted a document. The top page read, "Deed of Relinquishment and Settlement Agreement." "What is this?" "It's simple," Vanessa explained. "A way to honor what Mom would have truly wanted. Her life's work should stay with her blood, with her family." The unspoken words hung in the air. "And you are not family." Rebecca slid the paper toward him. "We're prepared to be generous. A one-time payment of $300,000. Cash. You walk away. No ties, no messy legal battles." Thomas felt the walls close in. 300,000 for a lifetime of love. For his home. "This is what she wanted," he whispered. Vanessa's gaze didn't waver. "We know you made her happy, Thomas, in her later years, but be realistic. You came after she built everything. It's only right it returns to its rightful heirs." Rebecca tapped a clause on the page. "If you refuse, we will contest your standing. We can tie up the estate in court for years. You'll drain every resource on lawyers. The 300,000 will be gone too. Signing this is the smart choice." The threat was calculated, chilling. They had planned this. The thought sickened him. Defeated, hollowed out by grief and pressure, Thomas nodded slowly. "I'll sign," he said, the words tasting like ash. The law offices of Hammond and Associates were a place of quiet power. Thomas sat across from Patricia Hammond, Margaret's attorney. His stepdaughters flanked him, an oppressive presence. Patricia steepled her fingers. "Before we proceed with any supplemental documents," she said, her voice cool, "there is the matter of Margaret's last will and testament to be read." Rebecca shifted impatiently. "We're aware of the old will, that's why we're here." "I am not referring to the Old Testament," Patricia said. She unlocked a drawer with a small brass key and withdrew a single, newer-looking document. "This is Margaret Elizabeth Whitmore's last will and testament, amended and notarized, dated 6 weeks ago." A crackle of tension filled the room. Vanessa stiffened. Rebecca leaned forward. "What is that?" Vanessa asked, her voice tight. "This," Patricia said, placing it on the desk, "is valid. She was of perfectly sound mind." She broke the seal. "Shall we?" The reading began. Then Patricia's voice softened as she reached a personal preamble. She looked at Thomas. "To my beloved husband, Thomas," she read. "These words are for you first. I know your heart is breaking. Do not let them break your spirit too. What follows is my final act of love and protection. Forgive me for the secrecy, but I knew the storm that would come, and I have built you a harbor." A sob caught in Thomas's throat. The daughters were statues. Patricia continued listing the assets, the house, the business, the investments, all to Thomas. A low, strangled sound came from Rebecca. Vanessa's knuckles were white. "To my daughters, Vanessa Marie and Rebecca Ann," Patricia read, her tone turning flinty. "I leave the sum of $100,000 each." "What?" Rebecca exploded. "This is an outrage. She was manipulated." Patricia held up a hand. "There is a conditional clause. Let me finish." She read the next part slowly, letting each word land like a judge's gavel. The bequests to my daughters are conditional. Should either initiate any legal contest to this will or exert any pressure or coercion upon my husband Thomas to relinquish his rights, their bequest shall be rendered null and void. The money shall revert to the estate to be administered by Thomas. The silence was absolute. Margaret had not just disinherited them. She had foreseen their every move and laid a trap. To fight was to lose everything. Vanessa's voice was a thin, cracked thing. She can't do that. It's designed to silence us. It's designed to protect her lawful heir and her final wishes, Patricia corrected. It is entirely legal. She knew you believed Thomas was after her money. She knew you would move against him. This was her answer. Thomas looked from the attorney to his stepdaughter's ashen faces. Beneath his grief, a profound awe stirred. Margaret had loved him enough to wage a war for him from beyond the grave. The choice, Patricia said, closing the document, is yours. You can accept this or challenge it and walk away with nothing. I would advise you to consider very carefully. The days that followed were a cold war. The daughters moved to a guest cottage. Thomas remained in the vast, echoing house. Patricia was his anchor. They're consulting their own counsel, she told him. It's expected, but the will is ironclad, Thomas, a fortress. Yet the pressure became more insidious. Thomas found old photo albums left open to pictures of Margaret's first family. The message was clear. This was her real family. You are an interloper. He received an accidental text from Rebecca meant for Vanessa. He looked so lost. Can't wait for this to be over so we can finally get what's ours. Thomas showed it to Patricia. It's harassment. It's testing the clause, she corrected. Keep a record of everything. The legal machinations began. Thomas was served a notice. The daughters were petitioning for a psychological autopsy of Margaret, claiming possible diminished capacity. Patricia filed a scorching countermotion. Thomas started avoiding certain rooms. He began to hear things, faint echoes, sounds in empty spaces. He felt watched. He dismissed it as grief. He took refuge in his workshop, a converted garage. The smell of sawdust was a comfort. He decided to build a memorial box for Margaret. As he sanded a piece of wood, his hand slipped, ruining the piece. Frustrated, he used a crowbar to pry it apart. The tool jimmied against the drywall. A hidden section, long behind a tool rack, cracked and gave way. Behind it, nestled between the studs, was a small antique metal strongbox, dusty and forgotten. His heart hammered. This was Margaret's first husband's workshop. He pried the rusted latch open. Inside were bundles of old letters, and a single, newer-looking, sealed envelope with a familiar, elegant script. It was addressed simply to Thomas. The letters beneath were from Robert to Margaret, decades old. Thomas felt like a voyeur. He skimmed one. It was full of passion, dreams, the love story that came before his. He turned to the envelope addressed to him. The ink looked older than 6 weeks. With trembling fingers, he broke the seal. My dearest Thomas, if you are reading this, you have found Robert's hiding place. I always knew it was there. It seems a fitting place for this letter, a bridge between my past and my present, which is you. I have just been diagnosed. It is the same thing that took Robert. The fear is a cold stone in my chest, not for myself but for you, for what it will do to you to go through this again. I am telling you this now in this secret way because I cannot bear to see the light in your eyes dim a second time. Not yet. I have time, and I have a plan. My daughters, I love them, but in their grief for their father they built a shrine and sealed me inside it. To them, my happiness with you is a betrayal. They believe you are waiting for your payoff. So I am going to give them one. By the time you read this, a new will is in place with Patricia. It leaves you everything. I have also instructed her to draft a separate fake amendment, one that leaves the bulk to the girls. She does not know why. This is the bait. I am going to get sick, Thomas, very publicly, And when I do, I am going to let slip that I have changed my will in their favor. I will let them believe they have one. My true, final will is my shield for you, but this performance is my last gift. I want to see their true faces before I go. I want to know if there is any love left for me, or only for what I represent. And I want to protect you. If they believe they have already won, they will have no reason to attack you. Forgive me for the deception, my love. To fight the wolves, sometimes one must wear sheep's clothing. Yours in this life and beyond. Margaret. P.S. Burn this. The letter slipped from his fingers. The room spun. The diagnosis, the plan, the performance. She had known, not just about the greed, but about her own illness. The heart attack had been sudden, but the disease had been a ticking clock she'd hidden. Her love had been a fierce, strategic thing. She had orchestrated an entire theater of deception to insulate him. And the fake will, where was it? Patricia had only mentioned the real one. Had Margaret's sudden death scrapped that part of the plan, or was it still out there, a dormant weapon? A terrifying thought seized him. What if the daughters knew about this letter? What if they had found this box first? Were they looking for something to prove he had manipulated her? Every creak of the house now felt like a footstep. The sanctuary of the workshop felt violated. Margaret's love had built him a fortress, but it was under siege from secrets she had taken to her grave. He placed the letter back in the box. He didn't burn it. It was evidence now of a game still in play. He had to see Patricia, but as he turned to leave, a shadow moved past the grimy window. Someone was outside, watching. Patricia's office felt like a war room now. Thomas told her everything: the box, the letter, the secret illness, the planned deception. Patricia listened, her composure cracking into surprise and horror. The cancer, she never said. Thomas, I'm so sorry. The fake will, Patricia, Thomas pressed, urgent. Do you have it? Patricia's gaze dropped, then met his. There was a hesitation. Yes, she admitted. I have it, drafted per her instructions. It leaves most to the daughters, a small sum to you. It was notarized the same day. Why didn't you tell me? Because her instructions were explicit. Patricia's voice rose with frustration. The fake will was only to be produced if the daughters acted against you before her death. The trigger was their behavior while she was alive. Her sudden death changed everything. The real will controlled. Introducing the fake one would have created chaos. I was following my client's wishes, Thomas. I still am. But they are acting against me, Thomas argued. It's post-mortem, Patricia countered. The clause in the real will covers this. The fake will was for a different scenario, one where she declined slowly, where she could watch them. That scenario never happened. Thomas leaned forward. What if they know about it? They could claim the will I benefited from is the fake. They could say you are complicit. The color drained from Patricia's face. The real will is last, legally sound, but in a messy probate fight she didn't finish. Who else knows? I don't know, Thomas said. I saw someone outside. Patricia stood, packing. This changes things. It gives them a story. Confused mother writes 2 wills, scheming husband and lawyer pick the profitable one. It's a classic strategy, muddy the waters. So what do? We secure this box, we document its discovery, and we wait. If they produce the fake will, we are ready with the truth and with Margaret's own words explaining it. She gave him a grim look. But you must be prepared. If they find out, the siege becomes a war. They will use this letter to claim you are pressuring them. Thomas left feeling more vulnerable than ever. Margaret's shield now felt like a double-edged sword. At home, Vanessa was waiting in the foyer. We need to talk about the workshop, she said without preamble. Thomas's blood ran cold. What about it? The drywall is damaged. What were you doing, looking for something, or hiding something? The directness was an attack. It was an accident. I was working on a project for your mother. Vanessa's smile was thin, cold. Of course you were, always devoted. She stepped closer, her voice a venomous whisper. "We're not going away, Thomas. We know there's more. Mother was secretive. We will find out what you were up to." She turned and left. Thomas stood alone, the weight of the secrets and the suspicion pressing down on him. The game was afoot. He was no longer just a beneficiary. He was a player in a match where the prize was the truth of Margaret's love, and the penalty for losing was everything. Days turned into a tense stalemate. Then, a break-in. Not at the house, but at Patricia Hammond's office. It was made to look like a random burglary, but only one file was taken: the master copy of Margaret's estate planning documents, including the draft of the fake will. Patricia called Thomas, her voice strained. "They have it, or someone working for them does. The game has changed." A week later, a formal legal motion arrived. It was a petition to invalidate the will that benefited Thomas. The grounds: undue influence and fraud. The key evidence cited: the existence of a prior will, dated the same day, which reflected Margaret's true intent to provide for her daughters. They claimed Thomas and Patricia had suppressed it. The battle was now in the open. Depositions were scheduled. Thomas had to sit in a sterile conference room and answer questions under oath from the daughter's slick, aggressive attorney. "Mr. Whitmore, did you know about Margaret Whitmore's terminal cancer diagnosis?" The question was a spear to his heart. He looked at Patricia, who gave a slight, almost imperceptible nod. "No, I did not." "Is it not true that you found a letter detailing this diagnosis? A letter you hid from this court?" So they knew, or they suspected strongly enough to bluff. "I found a private letter from my wife after her passing. Its contents were personal." "We move to compel its production," the lawyer said smoothly. The judge, a weary-looking man, agreed. Thomas had to surrender Margaret's final, secret letter. In the hands of the opposition, it was twisted. "See," their lawyer argued in a subsequent hearing, "this letter proves a pattern of deception. Margaret Whitmore was planning a theatrical performance to fool her own daughters because she felt pressured by Mr. Whitmore's presence. She was creating a narrative to justify cutting out her blood. This is the mind of a woman under undue influence, crafting elaborate justifications." Margaret's profound love and protection were being painted as the ramblings of a coerced, sick woman. Thomas felt his world crumbling. The climax came not in a courtroom but in the judge's chambers for a final settlement conference. The atmosphere was thick with hostility. Vanessa and Rebecca sat with their lawyer, confident. Thomas and Patricia faced them. The judge urged a resolution. "This is draining the estate and everyone involved. Is there no middle ground?" Vanessa spoke, her voice icy. "The middle ground is the will our mother truly intended, the one that provides for her family. We are prepared to offer Mr. Whitmore the $300,000 originally discussed, plus the right to live in the house for 1 year. That is more than fair." It was a blatant power play. They were using the fake will and the twisted interpretation of the letter to force the original, cruel deal. Thomas was broken. He looked at Patricia, who seemed to be wrestling with a monumental decision. She had followed Margaret's instructions to the letter, but following them was now leading to Thomas's defeat. Then Patricia did something unexpected. She opened her briefcase and removed not a legal pad, but a small, sleek digital audio player. "Your Honor," she said, her voice suddenly clear and strong, "with the court's permission, there is one piece of evidence we have not yet presented. It was entrusted to me by Margaret Whitmore with the strictest of instructions on when it could be played. I believe that time is now." The judge, intrigued, nodded. The daughter's lawyer objected but was overruled. Patricia placed the recorder on the table and pressed play. The voice that filled the quiet room was Margaret's. It was strong, lucid, and filled with a profound, weary love. "Patricia, if you are playing this, then things have gone the way I feared. Thomas is under attack, and my girls are using the second will against him." Vanessa and Rebecca, flinched at the sound of their mother's voice. This recording is dated the same day I signed both documents. I am of sound mind and body, though I carry a private sorrow. The two wills are not a sign of confusion. They are a strategy. The will that favors my daughters is the lie. The will that favors Thomas is the truth. I had Pat draft the lie because I needed to see, with my own eyes, what lived in my daughters' hearts. I never got that chance. But if they are using that document against the man I love, then I have my answer. Vanessa, Rebecca, my dear girls, can you hear me? I loved your father with all my soul, but my life did not end with his. Thomas brought me back to life. He asked for nothing. He gave me joy. Your belief that he wanted my money is a poison that comes from your own hearts, not from his actions. The clause in the real will, the one that takes your inheritance if you fight, was not to punish you. It was my last, desperate attempt to protect you from yourselves, to stop you from becoming the kind of people who would destroy a good man for money, to force you to choose between greed and grace. You have chosen, and by choosing to fight, by using my own protective lie as a weapon, you have shown me the choice you would have made had I gotten sick. You have confirmed my deepest fear. So let this recording be my final word. Thomas, my love, you are my family, my heart, my heir. Girls, you are my blood, and I leave you the $100,000 each as a final gift from your mother. But you have forfeited any moral claim to my legacy. The court will decide the legalities, but your mother's heart has judged. Let that be your inheritance, too. Patricia, thank you. Thomas, be happy. Do not let this harden you, that is all. The recording ended with a soft click. The silence in the chamber was absolute, heavier than any that had come before. Rebecca was crying silently, tears of shame streaking her face. Vanessa stared at the table, her confident mask shattered, replaced by a look of utter devastation. Their lawyer was simply stunned. Margaret had spoken from beyond the grave, not with a lawyer's words, but with a mother's heartbreaking clarity. She had predicted this exact moment and left the key to unlock it. The judge cleared his throat, his own emotions visible. I think the court has heard enough. There was no more fight. The daughters withdrew their petition. They accepted the terms of the real will, the 100,000.